What's something men do that comes across as creepy? Story 1. When I was 19 I was a phone girl at a local pizza place. I would answer the phone and take people's orders for carry-out or delivery. One time this guy called and said he was placing an order for delivery. By the end of the order he changed his mind and said he wanted to order carry-out. The dude shows up and my coworker helps him and he says, "You're not the girl I talked to on the phone. I want to talk to that girl." I realize he's talking about me and I ask what's wrong. He then tells me he thinks I have a really soothing voice and should do ASMR. I was like, okay, that's weird but relatively harmless. The guy gets his food then leaves. We can see him sitting in his car for like 15 minutes. Then he came back in the store with a map and started asking me a bunch of weird questions for directions to somewhere. I said, "Why can't you just use Google Maps? I see you have an iPhone," and point to his phone. Then as I point I see him try to hide the screen. He had the audio recorder pulled up. This weirdo came back in the store with a thinly veiled excuse of asking for directions because he was trying to record my voice. It was so creepy. I told him, "Wait 1 second," and went to the back and told some coworkers what was going on. A friend of mine who worked in the kitchen, a 6 feet 2 inches muscle head, walked out and was like, "I am great with directions. My girlfriend is terrible at them," while gesturing to me. "Let me help you." Suddenly the guy didn't need directions anymore. So yeah. I'm going to say whatever that was creepy. Story 2. I used to work in a urology clinic. I would take patients back to their room and prep them for various procedures. This typically involved washing the area where the urethra is, and often injecting numbing gel into the opening to help with scopes or sounds going in during the procedure. One guy in particular used to come in monthly for a urethral dilatation, which involves a series of gradually larger sounds being pushed into the urethra to help dilate strictures. After several months of him coming in for these procedures, he asked me out on a date during his checkout. He straight up asked the receptionist on his way out to go get me and then asked me out right there at the desk. I was around 23 at the time and he was like 45. He also did have an oddly massive flaccid penis and the whole thing was just terrible. Story 3. When I was around 20 or 21 I was working as a barista. We had floor-to-ceiling windows on one side of our cafe in a busy area. Some guy, maybe mid-30s, was walking by outside and it looked like he was coming into our store. We locked eyes so I offered a half-hearted customer service smile as one does. He turned the corner to the front of our store, blocked partially by a brick wall, no windows, but never came inside. I didn't think much of it and just continued on with my day. About 3 to 4 hours later, my shift was over. I walked outside to the parking lot and I hear a, "Finally. You're off work." I turn around, expecting to see a coworker or maybe a regular customer I was friends with or something. Nope, it was the guy I locked eyes with for 5 seconds several hours earlier. He was sitting at a table on our patio, but was blocked by the brick wall so I couldn't see him through the windows from inside the store. I was really startled and didn't know what to say. He then proceeded to tell me that he saw me smile at him through the window so decided to wait outside of my work for several hours so he could talk to me. I mean, it would be one thing to come into the store, but a coffee, and try to talk to me, although I still wouldn't appreciate that while at work, but this man waited outside of my work for several hours. I was so creeped out and made an excuse like, "Oh, actually I'm just adjusting the umbrellas on the patio. I still have work." And then I went straight back inside and to the back where I waited for a full hour until my coworkers confirmed he was gone. I was so scared and had male coworkers walk me to my car for like a week. Story 4. Speaking as a 5 feet 2 inches woman, guys you barely know or even total strangers lifting you up off the ground to hug you. Story 5. Dude, is no one gonna say unsolicited dick pics? Like you all be airdropping them. I had a guy tell me that women appreciate it cause they wanna know what they're working with. Nobody gonna work that shit if that's your opening. Story 6. I have a coworker. I had never met him, officially, before we started working at the same place 2 years ago. He gave me a weird vibe from the get-go, but I just avoided him as much as I could, which was easy cause we don't have the same job at our facility. After a while he starts talking about two brothers that I do know, and how he was friends with one of them. Okay, fine, a little creepy, you know, I knew them too. Then he asks when I moved from X address where I lived with my ex. I shut that down, and straight out said that was a creepy comment that made me uncomfortable. I now avoid him even more at work, but a few months pass and he starts asking how long I lived at Y address, and that it was then I was hanging out with specific group of people. I told him how TF he knew about two past addresses and whom my friends were, since I never met him before. Oh, he and that one brother sometimes talk about me. I have not spoken to either of those two brothers for 5 years. That shit is creepy as hell. Story 7. I was walking up the stairs at a train station carrying a large suitcase the other day. A guy wanted to help and just took my suitcase from me without asking. I had to tell him 3 times I was okay and didn't need his help. The suitcase wasn't particularly heavy, just big. Don't just grab other people's stuff without asking. I know he just wanted to help, but still. Story 8. Me, I'm married. Shows ring. Random guy, I don't believe you. They all say that. Then it just gets creepy because no matter what you say they just don't believe anything and keep pressing you to leave with them. That hyper-aggressiveness is creepy. Story 9. Touching my lower back when they walk past me. Strangers do this if I'm in a crowded area and it's weird. I don't see guys doing this to other guys. When they sit right next to you despite having more than plenty of options. Once I was sitting on a bench at my uni and some guy sat directly next to me. Like shoulders touching and starting very quietly while eating a sandwich. Then he started asking where I lived, and when I kept trying to divert it, he kept pushing, so I made up a phone call and ran away. Story 10. Yeah, so I'm gonna be honest. I'm very insecure about being creepy. I don't really have a great grasp of social situations because I'm autistic and I don't interact with people I don't know very often, and I don't know how other people are going to perceive the things I say. But these comments make me feel a lot better because it wouldn't occur to me to do any of these things, and I feel visceral disgust towards most of them, which actually makes me think maybe I do actually intuitively know how not to be creepy and I just completely lack self-confidence. Please, give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to notifications for new incredible stories from Reddit.